Hello, guys. Welcome back to the PBNP podcast. And I know what you're thinking. It's been a long time. It's been like 4 weeks since we last recorded a video or a podcast. I'm back again with Waddle. So, Waddle, do you want to tell our lovely viewers what you've been up to in the last, a month or so?
Nothing.
Right. Let's move
I
on.
got a dog. That's about it.
Well, that's what I was trying to hint at.
I know. I got a dog. That's about it.
Do you want to show?
Mom.
Do you want to show the dog? 'Cause it might get us more views.
No, I'll do it later. I'll do it later because she's currently distracted, so she doesn't get distracted. She gets undistracted, then I'll show her.
Okay, so our watch time may increase because we're just waiting for the dog, or they might just skip. I don't know. So today we're going to talk a bit about progression, because I had a think the other day, and I thought the last few podcasts we did, we've sort of like gone away from what we used to do a little bit, because we used to have a specific theme of what I wanted to do, and I want to kind of go back to that because that's what the podcast was based on slightly. So today we're going to talk about progression. Let's get rid of that. So the first thing we're going to talk about is, what does progression mean to us individually? So do you want to take it away, Waddley?
Well, it depends what you mean, because like the progression is different in it. Because like you can have like, I don't know, progression in different areas. Because I see like, if I was looking to progress in life, it's like always improving. Because if you're not, you start to stagnate, then obviously there's no progression there. You stay in the same place. So at the minute, I'd say I've stagnated. I'm not progressing. Whereas, because I'm not being able to do anything, that's to me like showing a lack of progression. So that's what I'd say. It's always improving. That's what it is to me, anyway.
Yeah, I mean, we're going to touch it in the next section, but progressions, it differs from person to person. So what might be progression for me might not be for you, or vice versa, or for anyone else. So like, I don't want to touch it too much. That's the next bit, but progression to me is like bettering something you've done previously, physically or mentally or whatever. It's like, so like progression literally is bettering yourself each time you do something or make something, or it doesn't even have to be fitness. It doesn't even have to be this. It can be anything. But I chose this topic because I've had a careers week at university, and there was a discussion about, do people get hung up on where their life's going? Do they overthink things? And we will go on into that about it, because it does touch on mental things, and you do need to be mentally tough to progress in life and get over those barriers. We'll get on to that. Well, you've just touched upon it there about your own progression. Do you think in the last 12 months, let's like keep lockdown and stuff out in there, but over the last 12 months, it's like before the first lockdown and to now and whatever, do you think you personally have progressed in life, or it's something in particular?
Probably not. I'd say, because obviously the main thing we focus on is fitness. I'd say I've probably gone backwards slightly. I went backwards, then I was fine. I was going, progressing quite a lot. And then this time it's like stagnated, if not gone backwards slightly. So, because it's just that we literally cannot do anything. So, I'm gonna hopefully, like I said this, like at the moment, obviously, where I can't leave the house during the day. I have to wait till Mum gets back at night. So, and that's when she comes back at like 6 or 6. And by that point, it's already dark outside. I'm not leaving the house. No point. So I just think, sod it, I'll stay in. So as soon as I think it's about 2 weeks, 3 weeks from now, we can start going out with us. So as soon as that happens, I think see a bit of progression, hopefully. Anyway, what about you?
So this is a tough one for me, because like obviously there's the fitness thing, and I don't think I've progressed physically, because limited equipment and things are closed and stuff, and there's only a certain amount of things you can do to be fit at the moment. I'd say I've progressed cardiovascularly in terms of running, because obviously I'm playing football again when we get back, and I've been given a plan to train and stuff like that and get fitter, which I've been doing. So I'd say physically running and stuff I've progressed, but like maybe weightlifting and stuff, maybe not. I'm still lifting weights, but it's just the same every day. It's what you can do. I'd say in life, yeah, over the last year, I'd say I've progressed in life. It's like some things, we'll talk about it later, but it's like progression's more about hindsight. It's like you've got to look back and think, maybe 12 months
What I've
ago.
done wrong.
Yeah, because you can't. I don't believe you can measure progression in the moment. I think it's something you're gonna have to look back on because I think it's hard to because you can get caught up in it. But progression's a hindsight. Looking back at now in hindsight, I'd say maybe yes. I'd say I've progressed in life because I'm doing something. If you go back to a year ago, I was at uni before lockdown, and I wasn't really enjoying it. I'd say going a year on, I'm still at university. It's not what I want to do when I'm studying. It's not what I want to do at going on further, but I'm enjoying it a little bit more. And obviously, there's the brand and stuff like that, which I'm currently working on, and I'm loving doing that. And physically, I'd say I'm in better condition than I was a year ago. So I'd say 90%, yeah, I have. But at the minute, it's hard to feel like you're progressing when you're in a global pandemic. And but there's the light at the end of the tunnel, which may be coming very soon. But there's always, I think it's like right now, it's like maybe in another year's time, we might not feel we've progressed, but we have. It's one of them things. Like we said earlier, would you say I've sort of touched on it, but progression is relative to the person?
Well, it has to be because you can't say like just because I haven't done something that you have doesn't mean I haven't progressed. You know what I mean? Like you I don't know. You could, I don't know, improve your time doing a 5K by like 5 minutes, and then just because I don't know, say I'm like 10, 15 minutes behind your time, doesn't mean I haven't progressed personally from my last one or whatever. You know, it's always down to individual people. Like it's just with anything, it has to be down to the person. You can't say it's not. It's like we always say, don't compare yourself to other people's physiques and stuff, because they're at a different point to you. You know, you can't compare. It's always down to the person.
Yeah, it's like what we've always said. What we always go back on. It's like people have different starting points in life, and people are genetically gifted differently. People like they always say that people
And
like
mindsets and stuff as well.
yeah, exactly. And they always say that people are 99.9% the same DNA wise and physically wise, but it's that 0.1% that makes you different, and that's what makes progression different for every person because people have different standards, different ethos, different biology. So for example, my gym gains might be quicker than yours, or you losing weight might be quicker than mine. It's just one of the things. And if you losing weight's quicker than mine, I shouldn't get hung up on thinking, oh, he's progressing more than me because he's lost 2 stone in like 2 months, and I've only lost 2 pounds in 2 months. So it's one of them things. It's like you can't measure your standards and progression on someone else's, because that's when you're going to start like getting depressed and stuff like that, and comparing yourself to other people is dangerous. And we've talked about it like a million times about how you shouldn't. And I sat on a talk yesterday, I think, with this entrepreneur at uni, and he was just talking about it's so important to be like tunnel visioned, and because if you look at either side of you, you're going to start comparing yourself to the people next to you, and it's easy to do that. Like we said, hindsight's massive, and it's easier saying like don't compare yourself, but it's hard not to. And that's why you've got to be realistic with your progression.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%.
So we're going to talk a little bit about like what can hinder and halter your progression. So I think, like we just said, overthinking can hinder your progression because that leads to your motivation and your mood. I think we've all experienced like low motivation and overthinking and moods, up and down moods. Like I experience them all the time, and I think it's just down to like pushing forward and persevering through that. And it's like I said a minute ago, all this goes back to hindsight, and it's easier saying that, and it's easy saying it than doing it, and you've just got to do it.
Yeah, I agree. I think because a lot of people just get hung up on being distracted by like certain things in life, and if anything, it's like an excuse for people. Trying to keep looking away, she's like keeps trying to bite me.
Nice.
Yeah, like you get like different things. Like if you get distracted by like work, people say like, I don't have time to do something, or like, oh, I don't want to do this today because, oh, I just like, I'm not feeling it or whatever. They just come up with excuses to do different things. It's just like that hinders progression massively, and then your mindset is just completely thrown off. And if you don't change that mindset, like even if by little bits, like a lot of people have like say, if we flip it on its head and talk about instead of physical, like mental thing. I know like there's some people that don't like kind of struggle like like interacting with people and stuff. So like even if it's just when you like say for example, say you need to go to shop for something, on your way to the shop or while you're in the shop, if you talk to that, if you interact with that one person that one time, that's progression for you. Little baby steps, just talking to like one person while whatever. That's a mental thing for people. It just helps. And it's same with you bastard, stop farting that. There's little things that can help. And if you start like in the gym, you up your weight by even if it's by 2 kg or something. 5 kg. Even if you get one more rep, you've still got further. You know what I mean? Instead of you're not hindering it, then you're showing little signs of improvement.
Yeah, and I mean, in terms of like things that can stop your progression, what would you say maybe you've experienced which have stopped you?
Okay. Sorry, I'm getting distracted. I would say like me personally, it's either, a lot of it is mindset at times. Because you know what, that I go through like spells of like they can range between like sometimes it's been a month in the past, like this were early doors, it's been a month, or other times it's been like 6 months. You just get in a rut and you get in that way of doing things. It's like when we come out of this lockdown, I think it'll be difficult for me to, and like hopefully it's depending on how long this lasts, the last bit of it. I think it'll be hard for me to get back into the swing of things because I'm so used to a routine. So like when stuff opens, if I don't have work, or they don't open straight away, or there's something not back to the way it was straight away, then it'll be a struggle to get into that rhythm of doing things. That's what I rely on is a bit of a routine.
No, I agree. I think I'm the same. Like I like to be honest, and like I think in the past I've let on a lot of opportunities pass me by in terms of like maybe progression roles or progression stages in my life. I mean, for me mainly it's overthinking. I've got a tendency to talk myself out of doing things. So
yeah.
I like to see. I think I'm quite a introverted person. So I almost have got social anxiety, but I'm a lot less comfortable. I'm a very awkward person. I mean, you could probably vouch for that. So like maybe if I need to, like today I was at uni in the office, like one of the things next year is to go on in an internship or go on a
placement.
Yeah, and for me that's nightmare for me because that's
meeting new people and stuff.
Meeting new people and having to talk and stuff like that. I'm 22 and it still affects me, but but I've also, on the positive side, I've also maybe pushed through that before and just gone for it. Like I had a placement in the summer, and you've just got to do it, and then it's fine when you do it. But for me, I've got a tendency to like say, "Nah, I don't want to do that. It's out of my comfort zone." Like I could say, I think one of the reasons I don't drive yet is because I just don't want to. I don't want to have a test and stuff like that. Maybe that's why I don't do it. I will do it, but I tend to push things back, and maybe that's why I just started the business because I just thought, fuck it, I'm going to do it because I'll just keep pushing it back. And I'd say that has hindered my own progression in life maybe 1 or 2 times before. I mean, I've had chances to play semi-professional football when I was like 16. I was like, no, I don't want to do that because of new people. It's mainly just meeting the new people and the fear of like, and I think that's like, I think you also can vouch this. Maybe that's down to me. Like you've played football with me. Slightly going off topic, but maybe that's down to me maybe trying too hard to try and impress new people.
You do that quite a lot.
Yeah, going deeper into things like, I don't like talking to them. I need to impress them, sort of thing. So that's probably why. But yeah, that's my take on what can hinder my progression. Do you think, like, I ain't got this written down, it's something I thought of now. Do you think is there an instant or a time where you took where something's helped you progress or no?
I'd say, well, to be honest, my big thing, I'd say work actually. I'd say I started getting my job, because before before I turned 18, I wasn't really motivated to do anything. Or like get into it. I never really had a routine, or not a good one anyway. And I'd never really get anything done. And then when I started work, it hindered me a little bit because obviously it's like I put that my work came first before anything else.
Yeah.
So if I had work, I'd put off college work and stuff like that. But overall, I'd say that has helped. What the fuck are you doing? It helped me in life a bit more because it got me, like I say, got me into that routine, got me used to like sticking to a pattern or something. Always being like, I'd say on time, but as well like keeping that balance. Do you know what I mean? Because like in your job, you've got to do things correctly, and you've got to be structured, and that helped me progress a lot more because I'd structure myself. Like I'd went for a period of going to the gym quite a lot, and going at least 3 times a week, and then fitting stuff in. I used to be that guy that would say, "Oh, I don't have time to do this. I don't, I've got this to do, got that to do." You've got time to fit everything in. You just have to do it in the right order.
Yeah, I mean that's quite good actually. I mean for me it's time of progress. I think gaining like learning like experience and actually like the opposite to my previous answer. Times when I have pushed through that side of slightly social anxiety, gain the experience and that comfortability in an environment where I'm like, okay, I can do it. I'm confident in myself. So then that then pushes you on to like want to do more things. That's one instant, but I'd say the main instance is just starting the gym and gaining a better mentality and reading more and doing more things and learning that like things aren't as scary as you think they are. So for me, it's more.
I think everyone overthinks a little bit, and that's what puts it off.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of people probably watching. Like, yeah, no worries. I'm not even going to cut this. I'm just going to carry on because there is a lot of people like who do overthink, and like there's probably a lot of people watching this who put things to the back and leave it because like I know a lot of people. I'm sure you know people who aren't comfortable in social or corporate situations because it's new to them, or it's like you just think of the worst thing, and it's just for me it was always getting that experience, and then once you've got the experience, that you then have more room to grow, and then once you've grown, you're comfortable in that progressive stage, and I'd say I'm getting comfortable now in that progressive stage, so that's my instant.
One sec.
Yeah, it's fine. I'm not even going to cut this out. To be fair, I'm just going to leave it in because it's real. Because we're the real podcast. We have lives. Well, here's a dog.
She's just being a knob. Oh, now I can take my socks off because they were fucking through. You're a knob, aren't you? You're a knob.
If you're OnlyFans, get your feet out the frame.
I know what you mean, though. I will trying to listen. Yeah, carry on.
Yeah, so going forward, like on terms of progression, in the next 6 months is too soon. Maybe 12 to 18 months, where do you want to progress in? What areas do you want to progress in? Where do you want to be in 12 to 18 months in terms of progression?
I'd say I want to be regularly running or / walking, depending on what it is. And I mean that by like most days of the week, like say off 2. So like 5 days a week, want to be running or walking. I want to be going to Oi! 1 minute. Fuck's sake, man. Stop it.
It's hard being a full-time mother.
Stop it. It's like being a nanny. You're going in fat. Stop biting me now. Piss off. "10 minutes. Time out." Right. Yeah, so 5 days a week I want to be like running or walking. I want to be going gym, say 3 times a week, like at least. I want to be working again, hopefully, come back to normal. If not in a new job, to be fair. Only about it for last year, to be fair. I might look for a new challenge or something, find something interesting. Yeah, that's about it. I'd say weight-wise, to be fair, I can probably do it. I want to lose, say, if we're talking 18 months, I want to lose at least 2 stone.
Really?
Like, cause I put some back on, so I want to get that off plus another 2, really. Maybe so that'd get me back into the. Like, I'd be under 20 stone then, which would be first time in a very long time. So that'd be nice.
I mean,
apart from that, I can't really think of anything else. What about you?
I'd say progressing wise, I'd probably say I'd love to be 18 months. What's that? 12 months of me. I'd love to be in my final year of university, passing. I'd love to know that I'm at least getting a 2-1 and I'm ready to graduate. I'd say I want to be a lot more confident in myself because I am year on year been getting more confident, and hopefully that trajectory carries on. Because like 2 years ago, I'm a lot confident. Excuse me. Like 2 years ago, I'm a lot more confident than I was 2 years ago to what I am now. I'd love to carry on that trajectory. I'd love to be progressing in the gym. Carry on with that. I'm trying to leave the business out of it because that's an obvious one.
It is an obvious one, but it's like it is, your life.
I'd love to be more savvy in terms of behind the scenes stuff. Like I'm getting better.
You want to pick up new skills?
Yeah, like I'm getting better at dealing with manufacturers and talking to them and knowing what I want and how to speak to them, how to approach them. It's just knowing your worth and knowing how when someone's trying to rip you off. So that I'm getting better with that because I've dealt with so many at this point. I've dealt like 4 or 5 at this point, so I'm getting better with that. I'd love to be good at that. Progressing though, I just I don't know, a haircut maybe. I don't know. I just want to trim.
I was tempted to go bald again the other day.
It's not as bad as I thought it'd be.
Yeah, but you've had an haircut.
No, I haven't.
It's quite obvious. What? Sit back down. She always jumps up when I laugh. I don't know why.
In terms of YouTube, I'd love to grow on the YouTube a little bit more in 12
Okay,
months.
so
Yeah, so I've got one. I'd love to have done 100 episodes of the podcast in 12 months. That's decent.
how many? Do you know how many we're on at the minute?
16, I think. 17.
It's more. It has to be more than that.
No, it's not. It's not.
It feels like more.
Let me check.
You can't in football podcasts and that.
No, I don't count them. Because they're not actual podcasts.
Yeah, they are.
Oh, I'd love to have the podcast on Apple Music and Spotify, and you can do that. You've just got to learn how to do it. So I'd love to have them on there. I'll tell you now.
You need to learn how to do.
I'll tell you now how many podcasts we've done. Imagine if we just did this and it could have been like a milestone one, didn't even know. This is our 17th podcast.
Fair do.
Don't forget.
Does feel like a lot more.
It's because we've been. We deleted a few, didn't we, though? Because they were like the podcast. So we probably did about 22, 23. And we've been doing this since May, June time. So 17, but we've had a few deleted. Yeah, so progression-wise, that is where we want to be. Relative, thinking, progressive. Talking of progression, I mean, we're now 25 minutes into the podcast, and that is kind of the timestamp where we shift topics to a more sports-related topic. Talking of progression, Manchester United.
I thought you were saying Burnley, to be fair, because you don't progress at all.
So, if you tune in for the podcast just for the progression talk, thank you. If you're not interested in football, this is where we are going to...
No, stay. If you're not interested in football, I don't care.
Fine, it's banter. If you stay, you like football. If you don't like football, stay for the shit. If you do, yeah. So talking of progression, Man United beat Real Sociedad 4-0 last night. I mean...
You played it really well, to be honest. I watched the game.
I don't think we did. I thought we were kind of shaky at the back at the start of the game. And
That was the start of the game. I watched past like the first 15 minutes.
It was a game. It was a game. It was a 4-0 win, but I found myself screaming at my TV as if we got beat. Like the amount of chances Marcus Rashford missed. Eric Bailly and Harry Maguire. Eric Bailly's the better of the two, but Harry Maguire just frustrates you when he plays.
I thought he had quite a good game, for being honest. Sociedad looked scared of him, which is not often. It's not often you say that.
I don't know if we played well or Sociedad just were terrible. You know what I
They
mean?
weren't great. The thing is, they had. I know what you mean by you were shaking at the back because they had like David Silva were pushing so far forward in the first half. He was running the show for him, creating loads of chances. The second half, he just seemed to drop so deep. Like he was basically like a DM at one point, and he was like defending with him because you were just so attacking. Like you were unlucky in some instances. Like I thought Dan James were unlucky to get that one ruled out. He got the other foot that would have made it 4-0, and then he scored later.
Well, not Mason Greenwood put in for him. Yeah, I remember now.
It were unlucky with stuff like that. I thought he's one of them players like against your slow defences. He's a really good player to have because that fourth goal. My God, they were so far behind him.
Eric Bailly got the assist for that.
Yeah, I know. I played it down.
I don't think Dan James is a world beater at all, but I think he's progressing as a footballer. I really, really do. Like, every time he's played, I think he's scored in his last 3 appearances for Man United. I think he scored tonight. He scored in the Champions League before.
He scored against Southampton.
Yeah, and he scored against Southampton. So he's developing into a decent squad player for us. I mean, we'll talk about. There's only one player I want to talk about, and that's Bruno Fernandez. To be honest, I think he's a freak. He's like. I think I call him a phenom. I think he's that good.
What's it? Is he on 20? Is it 21 goals, 11 assists?
This season he's got 21 goals, 12 assists, all competitions, and he's second top scorer in the Premier League. With I think he's got 13 goals.
I saw someone today say 40. Is it 48, 49 point something million? Is the biggest bargain of the decade. Which I think is utter shite.
He's not the bargain in the decade. I mean, we got Zlatan on a free. You know what I mean?
That's not even the bargain of the decade. Lewandowski to Bayern on a free.
What I'm saying is, he is a bargain because when you think about his quality and what he's on, I think he's on like 75 grand a week wages, and I don't think we paid more than 50 million for him, and he's a bargain. But I don't think he's the bargain. You know what I mean? Of the decade.
He's nowhere near the bargain of the decade.
I think he might prove to be the bargain of the decade, but he's not.
I'd say we're talking signings. Like, you can't call it a bargain because you pay 50 million at the end of the day. When you've got players going to clubs on a free, or like for $1 million, or like Kante to Leicester was a bargain for considering what they got from him. Premier League title, and they sold him for 40 or whatever it were. Vardy for $1 million at Leicester. That's another one.
I think Vardy's the bargain of the decade. I think.
I'd say. Well, no, I'd say in the Premier League, yeah. So like in England, yes, and then you got Lewandowski outside of that, who went to it on a free, and he's like mental. He's just done everything.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of Bruno Fernandez, I think he's been at United for just over 12 months now, and I think you can't say he's the bargain of the decade when he's been there for 12 months. You just can't. I think relative to the market at the moment, 50 million is a snip. I mean, to pay less than 50 million for a player of his quality is mad. But I think that's just because he came out of the Portuguese league and stuff like that. But I think maybe in 10 years' time, when he's in his mid-30s and he's maybe might have beat United and he's achieved what he's achieved, I think people might look back and say, yeah, he might be the bargain of the decade. But right now, oh, fucking hell, my recording stopped. Oh, it's starting now. I think when we look back in 10 years' time, I think he might be. But at the moment, I think you can't say. It's like when people say he's better than Kevin De Bruyne. I know I've chatted that and say I've chatted some shit. But that's just in like, I've even said we're going to win the league. That's not going to happen. But that's just me being a biased fan. But I think in hindsight and looking at it even with like my non-Man United glasses on, I think De Bruyne has been at the top level for a certain amount of time. And I think you can't say he's better than Kevin De Bruyne when he's been doing it for a year. I think maybe in 3 or 4 years, see what he achieves, see his numbers. Maybe you could say that. But I think that you've also got to compare. Yeah, and I think we could win a trophy. We could win the Europa League, FA Cup this year, but still, I wouldn't say it because he's been doing it for like 12 months. But if he does it consistently, like 2 or 3, 4 years, 5 years, then maybe I will say it. But at the moment, he's up there in terms of quality and in the league and stuff like that. But I think they're two completely different players. I think people call Bruno a stat padder. I think I don't think you can be a stat padder when you're not good. You know what I mean? I think Bruno's more of a De Bruyne's got better passing. He's a more silky player to watch. Well, I think what's underrated about Bruno Fernandez is that his pressing, his work rate. He starts the press for Man United. He's always there. He's running. But he's more of a forward for me. I mean, you could play Bruno as a false nine. He scores
He was furthest forward for you last night.
Every game. Even when Cavani plays, Martial plays, he's always in the box. And I think you could play him as a false nine. But
the thing is, I was like, it's weird. I stick up. Like, obviously, I banter you about it because I have to. But like, I had to stick up for him quite a lot in arguments and conversations about him. Like, people say he's just a pen merchant. He don't do it against big teams, stuff like that. I watch a lot of football. I watch a lot of United, and he does what he does. He loses the ball quite a bit, weirdly enough, because he tries a lot of different things. When he loses the ball, he's always the one to track back, and he'll be there in the centre back position, trying to block the ball, win the ball, tackle, anything. He demands excellence. He demands the same effort from everyone else around him. Like, you've seen him shouting at the defence before, everyone. And he's good. So there is an argument against some of the bigger teams. He does bottle it, but I think that's just them being good. You know what I mean? There are games where there's nothing you can do about it. And he's got that when people call him a pen merchant, he's not as much anymore. He's actually scoring some really nice goals. Because it's weird, you've got players like Salah who take penalties for Liverpool and were to like joint top scorers. He doesn't get the pen merchant thing. I think it's just because Bruno plays for United and he's so hyped up, and all you lot to just suck him off. Like, he just gets that, and you do. So you're smiling because it's true.
No.
That's the only. And everyone hates United, so that's why he gets the stick, and that's why he gets called out for it. But he's a good player. He's nowhere near Kevin De Bruyne yet because he's been doing it for so long. And they come on against Everton the other night. He got subbed him 3-1 up, and Pep subbed him on, and he played this killer ball straight away and created the chance. Like, nowhere near that level yet.
What I'm saying, though, I think I'm saying more reputation than the Kevin De Bruyne thing. I'm saying, in terms of ability, I think he's right up there with Kevin De Bruyne. But in terms of being the best, you can't say he's the best when he hasn't been there the amount of time in terms of like reputation.
And hasn't won near as much.
Yeah, exactly. But I think as a player, like just as an ability, quality standpoint, I think he's right next to Kevin De Bruyne. I really do. If you watched the game last night, his passing is well underrated. You see that ball he plays out, like he sees.
It is good, but in terms of, I think Kevin De Bruyne's possibly like, he's up there with one of the best we've seen in the Premier League, to be honest.
I agree. He's like a modern legend, but I think Bruno will be that in time. But I think he's raised United. Like, I think I read something. Solskjaer's only lost 4 games in a year in the league. That's crazy. I mean,
what, in 2021?
No, I think in a whole year. I think.
I don't know. You've lost quite a few games.
Or is it just this year?
Or is it me thinking a lot of your draws are lost? It's like your 3-3 against Everton, your 2-2 against Southampton, stuff like that. You know.
I'm thinking about cup games and Champions League and stuff like that. But yeah, he gets so much disrespect, and I don't like. I think people. I watch a lot of the kickoff, which I think has gone a little bit downhill in my opinion.
Same.
I like Adam McCauley's thing. I think he's really good because he always challenges Lawrence McKenna.
Lawrence needs to stop
I don't know what's
talking.
happening. He's very bitter.
Have you seen the heated debate where they talk about the bad champions thing? He's reading the sheet of paper. I turn it off. I turned it off. I was like, I can't listen to what you're saying.
He is bad champions, and we'll get onto that. I will get onto that because I've got my opinion on that. But I think in terms of like, we're talking about Solskjaer, and I think I think rival fans, and True Geordie's one of the biggest YouTubers, so he speaks for them. He's like, oh, Solskjaer gets saved by his quality and his players and every time, but isn't that every manager though? You know what I mean? Like, Pep,
it is, but it seems every time that Ollie's job was on the line.
What I'm saying though is we'll win 5-0, yeah, and he'll be like, that's not Solskjaer, that's Bruno Fernandez being good, that's Marcus Rashford being good, but City beat Everton the other night. If Fordham wasn't playing, if whoever wasn't playing didn't score,
Bernardo Silva.
Yeah, whoever didn't score, then they'd have lost. So it's just double standards. If like Pep got saved by Fordham because they scored, I just don't get the I don't get the argument. I think Solskjaer doesn't get enough credit for the managing of Fernandez and stuff like that, because we've seen quality players come into the league before of his calibre and fail. And I think he's the best man manager, but I don't think he's going to be the one to win as a league. I think his inexperience might cost us.
I think to be fair, like you can look at it and say, when people say like his job gets saved by his players every time his job's on the line, a lot of players are not. They know when the manager's job's on the line. So for them to go out and win a game and put their extra effort in to try and keep him in the job, kind of shows that they're playing for him. He gets quite disrespected in the way that, because his tactic, everyone knows what he does now. When you're coming up against a side that will attack you and he's not going to just sit back, he plays McTominay and Fred. When you're coming up against a sitting defence like, I don't know, like Burnley, West Brom, all them type of teams, Fulham, he'll play one DM and he'll go a bit more like attacking. He might play like a diamond with one DM and then two strikers or whatever. He'll go for it. It's quite a good tactic. Everyone knows it, but for him to come up with it and him to have that partnership with Fred McTominay or switch it sometimes, even play Matic on his own, it does work. He's quite, he's got quite a few tactics, going there, and he's not a bad manager at all. He clearly not. He's done, he's done all right at United. I just like you say, I think his inexperience or whatever, or is that lack of, I don't know, a plan C or whatever, plan D, like we get Pep has and all that. That might cost you in the long run, to be honest.
I think what against Solskjaer is that Klopp, Pep, Nagelsmann are all system managers, so they have systems and you can swap players out and they do like Pep's the main thing for this. Like you can swap Fordham for De Bruyne and they'll do the same thing. You know what I mean? They've got a system.
Mahrez, Sterling, and stuff like that.
Man United, they don't play a system. They've got a I don't know. You've got a set team, and they play fluid football. That's how I say it. But people
like us.
Yeah, but we don't have a set system because he's not a system manager, and I think people beat him for that. But I think, but like the complaints, he's got no tactics. They don't. What system do we play? Arsenal's got a system. They play a style of play. You know what Arteta's brand of football is. And they always say, what's United's brand of football? It's just we play fluid football and the counter-attack, that's how we play. And I'd say we're probably one of the best in Europe for it, to be honest. I think we are one of the best counter-attacking teams in Europe. But yeah, I think it's blown out of proportion with Solskjaer. But if he was Portuguese and he said cool things in a press conference and he were more elegant the way he speaks and he wasn't vanilla, I think people would love him. But I just think because he's elegant as Solskjaer and he speaks very safe and he sounds a bit mank, but he's not Mancunian. He's not. I
think that makes him more likable, to be honest.
I disagree. I think people hate on him because they think he's a puppet for the Glazers. I think he's too soft. But yeah, I think he's a good. Leave the thing. I think he's done a good job at Man United. I think he gets a lot of stick. He warrants a lot of criticism too. Don't get me wrong. Like he picks Victor Lindelof. He's the one who drops certain players. He picks Harry Maguire week in, week out, knowing that he's not in the best form. He plays Marcus Rashford every game when he looks knackered. But apart from that, I think he's doing quite well at Man United. And I think we're sitting second in the league. I know Chelsea are creeping up. I know we're on level points with Leicester. But no one expects us to be second in the league at the beginning of the season. So
yeah.
I think he's doing
I've got Sky Sports News on there. And Bruno Fernandez has had the most shots in the league with 81.
Yeah, but if you watch the Man United game, you'll know what he does. He picks the ball outside the box. He has a good pass on. And he just twats it from outside the box. He's a very frustrating player to watch it sometimes. Like you said, he's lost the ball a lot of times.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
I like that because he tries things. He's not safe. He plays these free balls and stuff like that, and he'll win it. We'll win it back. But we'll move on from Man United now. Liverpool are the bad champions.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
They have excuses because they have genuine excuses because there's no other way that you can lose your entire defence and survive. It's just straight up facts, you can't do it.
What?
They've
still got Trent. They've still got Robertson.
No, what I mean is, I'd say Robertson is the only player this season that hasn't missed a big chunk of games. Trent's been injured for quite a lot. Obviously, Van Dijk long term, Gomez long term, Matip's out long term. There's quite a lot, that have gone out long term. Robertson's been the only one. When you're having to play, your defensive midfielder that you need in midfield at the back, what can you do?
I get that, but let's take the Burnley game or the Brighton game, for example. They had Trent and Robbo on centre-back. They had Matip playing. Let's not forget Matip was playing. I know Henderson was at the back, but they had Thiago, they had Wijnaldum. They still had Salamani. Let's not forget, it's not the defence that's fucking them up. It's their attack. In the league, they're not scoring goals. And I think Liverpool fans like to paint this picture of, we've been injured all year. And they say it like, if Van Dijk comes back into this team now, we'll go back up. We'll go back up this table. I disagree. I think they've been on the decline for over a year now.
It helps.
It helps. Better players help a system. Better players help the team. But let's not forget they got beat 7-2 of Aston Villa with Van Dijk and thingy. Let's not forget. Let's not forget after when they mathematically won the league last season, they fell off again. You know what I mean? I think it's just a fact of this team is declining. It's getting a bit stale. But Liverpool fans, if you watch that kickoff video, Adam McCall is trying to, even he's being talked over, he's trying to say, you are shit champions. And I think Lawrence McKenna's saying, you're calling us a bad team. And he's like, no, your fans made us believe that you're one of the best teams in Premier League history. Your fans made us believe that you're this great team and you're one of the best champions ever in the Premier League. But champions don't fall off like that. And I think the points tally put them up there with David Moyes' Man United. So I think it's facts that they are bad champions. But Liverpool fans like to tell us it's because they've had injuries. Injuries aren't. I don't think injuries have played a part, but they're not the main reason. I just think they're just becoming a bit stale. People are out.
I'll say what I've been saying. Because obviously, I'm mates with a lot of Liverpool fans. I'm in a group chat with a lot of Liverpool fans. And the things I've always said about this season, right? They're bad champions. I'll say why. Because they went and nearly went. They were going to go unbeaten or whatever. Then they got beat by Watford. Then lockdown. They went to shit. Whatever. Like I said, their injuries. They have suffered a lot of injuries. It's been really bad. And I do feel for them. It happens. City had a similar thing, not to the same extent, but they did lose. They lost Laporte and other players, De Bruyne and stuff like that. It happened. But they haven't been scoring near enough. Their attack has dropped off massively. Salah's done, he's had a very good season. He has. Mane has been far from the player he was last season and the season before. Firmino, massive drop off, needs to be solved. But I think it's down to Klopp because his team selection has been absolutely horrendous this season. They had the final group game in the Champions League against Midtjylland or whatever you call them, and he decided to play starting players. I think he played Matip, Fabinho, Salah, another forward. It might have been Mane or Firmino. He's playing all these starting players that you need rested. They were already through mathematically. They topped the group already. And he played all these players, and I don't understand why he did that. And then when the team stopped scoring, and he said, right, we'll play them through it. We'll try and play them through the drought. So he started playing all the front three every single week, every single game, and they just get tired. And then they pick up injuries and slight knocks and stuff, and then they can't score because they're knackered. It's his team selection and what he's done this season and his excuses have been absolutely horrendous. And I think there's more blame needs to be put on Klopp's shoulders. There's not enough sent his way, to be honest. And that they are bad champions. That's all I have to say.
I think the injury excuse is a bit ironic and a bit in terms of the fact City had a lot of injuries last year, and Liverpool fans disregarded it and just said no, it was just because we were too good and stuff like that. And I think injuries are an excuse, and I do wholeheartedly agree with the fact that Van Dijk being out has proper hindered them. But you can't go past the fact that they're losing to teams they shouldn't be, even with the squad they've got. You know what I mean? They lost to, in respect, they lost to you, which they shouldn't have done. typically Liverpool beat.
No, we played well. We played really well.
I do agree with that. But if Liverpool are this team from last year, they won't be losing.
Yeah.
They lost to Brighton. You know what I mean? With half of the best defence they usually have. Alisson's still there. Let's not forget they bought Thiago.
He's had a shocking couple of weeks.
Oh, I know. And that does not get spoken about enough. When De Gea makes a mistake, he's finished.
No, it has been talked about quite a lot this time. It has. It's been brought up a lot. Like, everyone's saying he should be dropped, and Klopp saying, no, I still trust my goalkeeper. Then he goes and makes another couple of mistakes.
Yeah. I mean, I just think it's just time for this team to, I think this is the end of that team, which we saw. I think from now on, I think when people are going to leave in the summer, I think one of Mane or Salah are going to leave. I think they're going to bring new players in. And I just think it's an aspect of them returning to type, to be fair. I don't think we're going to get seasons again when we're 90-odd points. I think too many teams now are too good. I think Liverpool and City had that 2 or 3 year spell when they were better than everyone else. I think teams like Man United are coming up to, I won't say the prime because of all the players' ages, but I think they're coming up. You look at Chelsea with Tuchel. You look at Everton with Carlo Ancelotti, Leicester. I think you're not going to get a season like that again because they're not that far enough in front now. Because I think City are overperforming this year. I really do. I think it's a certain aspect of what Liverpool had last year in that, we had a shit year last year, put everything into every game, and they know they have to win every game because they had a shit start to the season. I don't know. I've never seen City this good, even with a 100-point team. I think this is the best I've seen them play. They look unbeatable. You know what I mean? Even when they had a 100-point season, look beatable in some aspects.
They do, but I'd say they're not overperforming just for the fact that they started the season terribly. Like we all did it. We did that video where we did as literally as Premier League tables, predictions and stuff. I had Liverpool top. I had City at 4th. And when they started this,
I put City United top 2. So I got
all right, whatever. When they started the season and everything was going well, I thought, and they were going to shit. I thought, I've done all right here. They're awful. But then I looked at the rest of it. You've got teams like West Ham and Villa up there. I put both of them to get relegated.
I think I put West Ham.
I thought Villa were a guarantee. I thought West Ham looked absolutely awful, and they've gone and turned it around. Now are they 5th, 6th? They're up there.
I want to say 5th because Chelsea were 5th because
I know they were 5th. I saw them on the table.
I'll check that.
Because they're up there. But you've got this someone was saying the other day, is Mourinho done at Spurs, and because you've got when he used to be in charge of Chelsea, he'd go to some teams and he'd look for a draw, he'd try and get a draw, and now you can't go to teams at lower end of table or mid table and try and get a draw. You can't do it.
No, I agree. And West Ham are 5th, by the way. They're level on points with Chelsea, are in 4th. Yeah, I think. I think that just sums up the point of all teams are getting better year on year because they can spend more and buy better players. I think that will not allow 2 teams to run away with it with 20 or 30 points anymore. I think this year will be a high 80s maybe. I think United.
But where they go, it will be.
Yeah, and I think they've got some hard fixtures coming up. So have Man United. We've got City next weekend or weekend after. So I think if we win our next few games and we get a result out of Man City, I don't think we will. I think we'll get beat. But I think if we get then I think the title race isn't over. But I think they should give it City now. I think they are just too good. Phil Foden's development's been crazy. I think from where he was a good player last season, but he's just gone up another level this year. I think he's mad how good he is.
He's played more. He's being played more. He's took that David Silva spot, and
I think he's forced to play him though because of the injury.
What?
I think he's forced to play him though because of the injury.
He is, but because Pep's already said he's not good enough to play number 10 yet. He's not good enough to do that on his own or whatever. So that's why he's been played out wide and that against Liverpool. He was on the right wing and he was cutting inside. I think he's been very good. He's been he's been an excellent player to watch, and you've seen him grow as a player. But you've also got players like Bernardo Silva, who I thought were really underrated last year. since he's been at City, actually, he's been very underrated. And he, like against Everton the other night, he picked him apart. I think he's filled that David Silva role more than Foden has, but Foden will overtake him, because obviously he's so young and he's so talented. They're just going to steamroll this league, and it'll be a whitewash, I think, at the end.
See, I think so too, but it wouldn't surprise me if they don't. I think it wouldn't surprise me if maybe someone beats them and they go on that trajectory again. You know what I mean? That this season has been so mad. We've got Chelsea and City in 2 consecutive games. I think they're going to play us and someone else big. And I think I think that moment they lose, I think that could be a turning point. But I don't think they're going to lose now for the rest of the season.
Depends when it is. If it's last game of the season, then it don't really matter, does it?
No, it doesn't. I mean, in terms of Burnley, let's quickly move on to them.
I will say another team in form.
To be fair, yeah. I mean, I saw Gio Rodriguez's little thing when he left it, and it went
turned into fucking Lionel Messi. He was sick. He just absolutely sent him into next week. It was class. It was 1-1, but it should have been 5-0. It was ridiculous. Honestly, Robbie Brady had the worst game I've ever seen him in a Burnley shirt. Did you see it?
Yeah, he came on as a sub, didn't he? And went back and took off.
He came on as a sub for injured Gummy, so I was like, okay, that's fine, left-footed player up right wing. He does it enough. He does it, enough times. And then, what the fuck? He comes on, he concedes a corner, he gets booked, he can't clear the header off the line, which is one of the easiest things that I've ever seen. Before it even gets near, as the ball gets near, he starts falling over and tries to boot it, and it goes into his own net. What are you doing? And Darch pulled him off. I was like, good. And he was sat there sulking. Irish prick.
Where do you think you're going to finish? Yeah.
I was going to talk about this Palace game before that. Christ almighty, we turned into prime Barcelona. It was class. Matt Lawton, prime Dani Alves. You've got David Villa, who's disguised as J. Rodriguez with that ball over top for Lawton. Literally, I just sat there just creaming. It was well good.
That is it Lawton's goal? That were a good one.
Oh, that's going to be goal of the season, that. It's absolutely sublime. He blasts forward, blaze it in, Rodriguez, a nice little ball over the top, boom, volley. Garter had no chance, I loved it. But I looked at the bookies' odds for who's going to go down. They've got us, apart from, I think, West Brom and Sheffield United's worse than ours, we're odds on to go down as the third. I'm like, how? I really don't think we're going to go down. I really don't. I don't like saying it, but I don't think we're going to go down.
No, I think Newcastle are a big candidate now.
They are awful. Although they did beat Everton.
I can see Fulham staying up, though. I really can now. Who's in and around it? I think... if
anyone's going to stay up out of that bottom 3 now, it's Sheffield United.
Looking good, though. So are Fulham, though. Fulham are getting results. I think them 3 are going to go down, but I think it's going to be really tight, though, because I think Newcastle are going to start dropping down the table because they're awful. I mean, we've got them on Sunday.
Well, we've got West Brom. We've got West Brom next. I think we play them Saturday. We've got West Brom. I feel like Wolves is coming up at some point. Last 2 games of the season, unless stuff gets rescheduled. We've got Liverpool second to last, and then we've got Sheffield United at home. Or I think it's at home. Honestly, if it comes down to that last game, that's going to be I fear for that day, because that'd be a scrap and a half.
See, I think you won't, because I think once Dash gets in a rhythm, he's fine. I think you are going to lose more games this season. Don't get me wrong, because you're that type of team, but you're going to get results, and I think that's what puts you apart from the bottom 3. Is that you've got a set team, you've got a set system, you know how to win, you know how to grind out results. You've got a comfortable team who know each other, and I think you'll finish 16th, 15th.
I was gutted really that Ben Mee picked up that injury before the Fulham game, because he's back. I think he's back for the West Brom game, but I think if he'd been in the side, would have been fine, because Kevin Long's just too dodgy. But if we'd have had that solid back line, would have been fine. We've got now, obviously Taylor's back. We've got his full strength defence playing really well. Brownhill's back, which is good. We've got the 2 men at middle of the park. We've got Cork on bench now. We've got a lot of players now that are the squad's building up again, and we can, we've got rotation options. Obviously, Gumminson's out. I don't know how long he's out for. I don't know if Vidra's back, but we've got, we're set now. Hopefully, if we can start grinding out them next few results, like if we beat West Brom, which I hope we do, that'll be 7 points from the last 3 games, and that'll put us fair distance from the bottom 3. We need Fulham to start losing again. And like I said, West Brom are below them, so if we beat them, then we're quite clear now.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I think you'll I think that bottom 3 is the ones going to go down. But yeah, I think it's a good place to finish the podcast now. So yeah, guys, if you're watching, you notice my camera's gone a bit weird. My camera died, so I've had to use the laptop visual. So I sincerely hope you've enjoyed the video and the podcast. Please leave a comment of where you've progressed over the last 12 months or when you want to go in the next 12. Leave a like. It does help the channel out a lot and gets the videos out there. Share if you want. Don't have to. Please subscribe if you're new. And yeah, me and Waddle will see you in the next one. See you in a bit. Me.
I didn't show the dog.
Want to show the dog?
Sure. Oh.
Pete,
Go on then.
you can duck an outro.
Go on then.
Go on then.
Oh yeah. Oh.
There's the
Hi.
dog.
Oh.
We're gonna have a section for your dog now every week, so people stay and watch.
See how big she gets.
She's quite big now, isn't she?
She's gained